Welcome to this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule, presented by Taylor Industries underneath the Taylor Industries canopy. Alongside here with Jenny's volleyball player, Cheyanne Lyons. Cheyanne, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and we'll go ahead and get started here with the faith side of things, and just talk about how did you come to your relationship with Christ?
I was 8 years old, and I'd grown up in the church, and they just always talked about like having Jesus in your heart. And I mean, it sounds a little kiddish, but that's what I wanted. I wanted Jesus in my heart. And so, yeah, I prayed and asked him in my heart when I was 8. I remember I went into my pastor's office and prayed with him. So.
And just obviously being a volleyball player here, how are you able to balance not only your spiritual life with the athletic side as well?
Well, I think they go together because without, I probably wouldn't be able to do anything physically without Christ, especially hard workouts. I cry out to God, like, give me strength because this is horrible. And then with how to balance my spiritual aspect of things, I mean, I just pray constantly throughout my day. Like every night I set aside like quiet time just with me and reading the Word. So.
And how would you say that being a volleyball player, how does your relationship with Christ help you in your volleyball?
I think it gives me a higher purpose to play for. Like, yes, I should be playing for my teammates, but at the end of the day, I'm just playing for God, and that His opinion of my play is the only one that matters, which when I realized that made volleyball a lot more fun because I didn't have to play for like my teammates' approval or my coaches, because I'm not going to satisfy my teammates every day in practice or games. Like, majority of the time, I'm not satisfying my coach. So just to know that like His opinion, like God's opinion of my play is the only one that matters, just like really changed my life.
And obviously being here at UCM, not only are you on the volleyball court all the time and doing your spiritual practices, but you're also in the classroom as well, being a physical education major. How is your spiritual beliefs help you in your studies?
Well, I think just like not wanting to slack off in my studies. Like, God gave me this gift to succeed in school, so why would I just kind of basically want to waste that and just not do my homework and stuff? And I think like as Christians, we should be working hard at whatever we do, and that includes school.
Talk about a time, at least here at UCM, where you really feel like your faith has been tested.
I would have to say like definitely just with my teammates, my faith is constantly tested, just different personalities and like how to get along with each other, and just we have different likes and dislikes, and just really learning like how to get along with everyone.
Obviously, you've been able to get along with a lot of people in the FCA organization here at UCM. How did you get involved here with FCA?
Well, when I was a freshman, I was at Northern Colorado, and I was 10 hours away from home, and I knew I had to get involved in something solid. So I got super involved in FCA and loved it, and as soon as I transferred, I knew I had to get involved in FCA right away. And I had a friend, Nicole Pond, on the soccer team here at UCM, and I'd asked her about FCA, and she's like, yeah, like let's go together, I really want to try it. And so we tried it together, and we both loved it. So.
Yeah, Jenny, soccer player there, Nicole Pond, give a huge shout out to her. How does your faith affect the way you conduct yourself on the volleyball court?
I would say for me, especially like our language, because little girls and like just little kids come to our games, and I'm not being a good example to them if I'm, cursing or giving my teammates bad looks or, dirty looks if they don't make a play, or arguing with the ref. And I think like we need to be very respectful on the court, because you never know who's looking. Like, these little kids look up to us and they want to be us one day, and I don't want them to be a person who's arguing at the refs or arguing with their teammates. Like, I want to set a good example for them.
And certainly in the ebbs and flows of a volleyball game, your emotions ride a major roller coaster, and and obviously that seems like that makes it more of a tougher time where you really kind of have to buckle down and really keep your faith tested.
Yeah, I think you really have to be in control of your emotions, and for me, I constantly quote Isaiah 41:10 through my head during games, because I wouldn't be able to control my emotion if I didn't have some stability in Christ.
What's the greatest strength that you find through your relationship with Christ?
My greatest strength, I would have to say just like hope. I have hope for my eternity, like even through really hard practices or when I'm not getting along with my coach or we have a really bad loss. Like I have hope at the end of the day. Like a loss, does that really affect my life even if we won the game? Like will it affect my life tomorrow? No. Like someone, 2 states away doesn't know I won or lost. Like that doesn't matter, but I have hope in something bigger.
And you kind of mentioned earlier about, your youth pastor being somewhat of an influence. Is there someone else that comes to mind when you think of, how much they've had an impact on your spiritual life?
I would have to say one of my coaches, Coach Jenny. I would go into her office and she just is an amazing woman of God and would just lift me up and just encourage me in my school and my studies and just like how to incorporate Christ in my games. And I'm like eternally grateful for all her advice and just like listening to me cry and just, all that.
So just to wrap up here, before we went on here, we told you to get your favorite verse, and so go ahead and tell us what it is. And
yeah, I mentioned it that I say it between games, and it's Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will hold you on my righteous right hand. So I just look at that like he's gonna help me when I can't get through it, and he's gonna be my strength.
And you certainly seem like you're able to take the strength that he's given you and you really do put it onto the volleyball court.
Mm-hmm. I think like he's giving me this talent, so why would I not go out and work hard? Like why would I just play just to play? Like he's giving me something to look forward to and like giving me strength.
And certainly, Cheyanne, you have taken his strength there and you've been able to have a tremendous volleyball career so far. And coming up after the break, we will talk more about the athletic side of things with Cheyanne Lyons. You're watching The Heart of the Mule. We'll be right back after this.
What if television could take us back in time, into the mind of a president?
This is our summer, Mr. Greatness.
And into the soul of a rebel.
I still got the world!
What if we could know how it feels to shoot for the stars, to witness the terrors of combat, and know the heartache of those left at home? And why can't TV remember the heroes we honored, the music we danced to, the dreams we chased?
The hope still lives, and the dream shall never die.
No one tells our nation's story like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring America's story to life, now and for generations to come.
I choose to be a champion.
I choose to be inspired.
I choose the perfect fit.
I choose Red to experience learning to a greater degree.
Choose Red. Choose the University of Central Missouri.
Live with a human for a while and you get to know a few things. Like, I know she's actually not a morning person. I know she does strange tricks for no treats. I know that water makes her howl like crazy. I even know how the floor stays so clean. She's quick. But the one thing I will never for the life of me know is how she gets so tiny and inside that box. Natalie, how do you get so tiny?
Welcome to Taylor Tidbits here, presented by Taylor Industries. I'm sitting alongside here with founder and CEO of Taylor Industries, Mike Ballard. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, good to be here.
Absolutely, and go ahead and just tell us a little bit about what Taylor Industries is and what kind of services and products you provide.
Taylor Industries is a manufacturer of medical products. Our main thing that we do here in this facility is ECG electrodes, which are used to monitor your heartbeat. If you're ever in a hospital or say they do a stress test on you on a treadmill, they're going to have them on you to monitor your heart. We also manufacture TENS electrodes for nerve stimulating. And we custom build machinery to do different things.
So Mike, you just kind of mentioned a little bit how you weren't able to go to the University of Alabama. Where did you end up going to school?
I went to Southwest Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas. And I was actually going after a degree to be an industrial arts teacher. I always knew I would do something with my hands. I've been mechanically inclined since I was a child. If my parents had something that broke in the house, say a hairdryer, and they would throw it away, I would go outside and get it out of the garbage can. And then I would take it apart just to see how it worked. And a lot of times I'd take something apart and I'd fix it and put it back together. So, but I went to Southwest Texas State in Texas. My parents were living in Pasadena, Texas at that time. My dad was an associate pastor at First Baptist Pasadena. So I went to school there. They had the best industrial arts program there. However, like a lot of kids, I didn't end up getting the degree that I went after. I was working sometimes 3 jobs and going to school. And part way through my degree plan, the state of Texas decided they would change the teaching requirements. And it added 24 more hours to my degree plan. Well, for a guy who's going to school and working, and I was starting my 6th year in school, I didn't want to be a lifer. So I went to the dean of the department and said, hey, I do not want to drop out of school. I've put too much time and effort into this, but this is what's going on. And he said, well, let me think about it. Came back Monday and he said, I've written up a degree plan for you, and you and I are going to the president of the university and we're going to submit it. So he did, and it's actually a degree plan at the university now, and it's an industrial technology degree, but it doesn't certify you to teach. But it requires you to take every single industrial arts class that they offer. So I've had photography, I've had foundry, I've had metals, I've had printing. So anything that was in the industrial arts program, I went through. So that degree now got started because of what happened to me.
Might as well rename it the Mike Ballard program then, right?
Yeah, and it's funny how things come around. And Cordell didn't know this, but Cordell's always been a big supporter of Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Well, he found my high school ring one time in a drawer, and he saw that it had Fellowship of Christian Athletes emblem on the side of it. And he asked me, I said, yeah, I was heavily involved in Fellowship of Christian Athletes in high school and in college. And he goes, you never told me that. And I said, well, I just never thought about it, but and so him being involved in it is great to see, because it is a great organization.
Talk about your involvement then with FCA, not only in high school but in college.
I was not one of those fortunate young men who got to play sports. When I was growing up, a lot of stuff in sports happened on Sunday. And you weren't going to be playing sports living in the house I lived in as a pastor's kid on Sunday. It just wasn't going to happen. And I was fine with that, because we're held to a higher standard as Christians. And we're to show the world, what it's all about. And so my brother did play football. Coach knew that he wasn't playing on Sunday. He was also a gymnast. Did the rings and uneven bars and stuff like that. But I had what they call Osgood-Schlatter's disease in my knees, and it's a growing. You grow so fast, your bones are growing, but your muscles are tearing away from your bones because they can't keep up. And it was very, very painful. I had it in both knees, and so I wasn't able to play sports. But I could be involved in sports by being part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And my 2 best friends in high school were both basketball players. And so we did a lot of stuff through that. So that was my way of being, part of the sports community, even though I didn't get the joy of playing the sports.
This is Mike Ballard, the founder and CEO of Taylor Industries. This has been Tailored Tidbits.
excitement.
I choose to make a difference.
I choose uncommon opportunities.
I choose red to experience learning to a greater degree.
Choose red. Choose the University of Central Missouri.
What if television could remember the heroes we honored, the music we danced to, the dreams we chased?
The hope still lives, and the dream shall never die.
No one tells our nation's story like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring America's story to life.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
Hi, I'm Jason Ketz, and thanks for watching this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule presented by Taylor Industries. If you or someone you know would like to be on the show, email us at theheartofthemule@gmail.com. Welcome back to this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule presented by Taylor Industries. Underneath the Taylor Industries canopy again, joined by Cheyanne Lyons, Jenny's volleyball player, and originally from Ray Peck High School, so from the Kansas City area, so we share a little common interest there. In high school, you were a 4-year letter winner in volleyball underneath Katie Dowd in there. Just talk about your career at Ray Peck a little bit and you know, how it got you here.
Well, I loved high school volleyball, and I have some of my greatest memories from high school was on the volleyball court, and I had just so many goals for my senior year, and I was very lucky to achieve a lot of my goals.
And one of those goals must have been being first team All-State, which was something you were able to accomplish your senior year, and you were a first team All-Conference both junior and senior year, and then you end up winning the Evelyn Gates Award, which is awarded to the best volleyball player in the Kansas City metropolitan area. Just talking about being able to really go out your senior year on a high note.
Yeah. Winning first team All-State was probably one of the coolest things for me. I dreamed about it since freshman year of high school because everyone who gets first team All-State gets their picture in the cabinet until the high school's there. So to get my picture in that cabinet was just like a huge accomplishment. And obviously the Evelyn Gates Award, you know, I beat out players going to Duke and Ohio State, who now Taylor Sambodi is a first team All-American there. So that was just like a huge accomplishment, and I just owe it to my coaches and teammates for that.
Have you gone back to Ray Peck yet and seen your picture there inside that cabinet?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool.
And absolutely, and obviously, you, not only after your career there, but you get to end in the MoKan All-Star game. Just kind of talk about that experience of being able to play with a lot of the best players in the metro.
Yeah, I think Kansas City out of the nation has like one of the very strongest volleyball cities around, besides like LA and Texas, but we're very lucky to have very strong players, and just a lot of those girls I'd grown up with playing, and we played on the same club teams, and just to all kind of have like the best talent come together was really cool. Like girls, you know, like from Duke, KU, MU, like basically all these big schools just all playing together. It was a lot of fun.
Now, and not only were you very successful on the volleyball court, but you were also a 2-year letter winner in track and field. Talk about that, and just kind of, you know, did it help you evolve your volleyball game?
Yeah, I'd say my sophomore year I went to state for track for the 4x4, worst race ever. That was very exciting, and I think it just, you know, conditioned me for volleyball and got me in way better shape.
And obviously, with all your success in volleyball, you were probably heavily recruited, I can only imagine. During that recruitment process, what was kind of going through your head about, what was going to determine what school you went to?
Well, I just prayed a lot during the entire recruitment process, and I hated the recruitment process, just so many coaches and emails, and I hated emails, and I never knew what to say. But yeah, I just mainly prayed, and my family was praying with me, and my mom, I remember her just saying, like, you'll know when it's the right school, like, we're all gonna have peace about it.
And that school you ended up having peace about was Northern Colorado.
Yeah, I was surrounded by amazing Christian coaches. Lindsay and Jenny were just amazing people, but in the end, I just wanted to come back home and be closer to my family, and so you see him.
Yeah, and kind of keeping it all in the ties, you kind of mentioned again your family and all that. Your dad was a cross country and track runner here.
Mm-hmm. He always says, every man a mule. So yeah, and my mom came here also, so it's neat to be, they like know where everything is here, and so that's exciting to share that with them.
Yeah, is it kind of special? I can only assume that they met each other here on campus, and so it kind of keeps it all in the family.
It does.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Nice.
And we just completed your first year here at UCM, where the team they wanted another MIAA championship in the tournament, and you were a big major part of that in the tournament games.
It was a lot of fun. I think we all kind of hit our peak, which is where you want to hit at the end of the season, playing Central Oak in the finals, and it was just a really fun experience that everyone had their moments to shine, and we all came out successful.
Yeah, and we were kind of mentioning off camera about how, at the end of the regular season, where on senior night we ended up beating Northwest. We had to come back in that game where we were down the first two, and then you said, Central Oak, they just couldn't get that loss, which would have been able to give you guys the regular season title. Yeah. So was there a little bit of unfinished business there once you got to the tournament finals?
So I think we wanted to show them that we are the best team in the conference, and that we should have won conference.
Well, and you certainly made a huge statement there as you ended up beating them on their home court, and you had 15 kills in that game there. That must have felt pretty good.
I felt like I was jumping pretty well, so that made it a lot easier. And I mean, our setter was just doing such a phenomenal job of getting people the ball. So,
and just kind of talk about your transition from coming from Northern Colorado to here, and what do you like about Flip Piontek?
I love that he truly loves his players. Like, you can tell that he, when he says he loves us, he actually means it, and he would do anything for us. If we called him and told him we had a flat tire, he would come right there and change it for us. He's just a really good guy.
Certainly one of the most genuine people I've ever been around here at UCM as well. And obviously, you've got 1 year left of eligibility, and it's your senior season. What are some of the main goals that you want to accomplish, not only individually, but with your team as well?
I would say that I want us to go far. I want us to beat the Minnesota teams in the first and second round of the NCAA tournament, and I'd want to go all the way. I think anything's possible.
Absolutely, and you're a physical education major here at UCM, and obviously there's a big future there. Kind of talk about some of your future goals. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
I would just love to be coaching and teaching. That would be my dream job. So.
Absolutely, it seems like that's something that kind of is really something you really want to do when you get out of here, is just be able to to coach and be able to impact the lives of the next generation.
I think even if I still can't play volleyball, I can always give back to the sport. So.
Absolutely, and that'll do it for this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule, presented by Taylor Industries. For Cheyanne Lyons, and I'm your host, Jason Ketz. Thanks for watching this week. We'll be back next week. Hi, I'm Jason Ketz, and thanks for watching this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule presented by Taylor Industries. If you or someone you know would like to be on the show, email us at theheartofthemule@gmail.com.